the second section of this training. We want to look at the second section of this training on the 21st best century methods and techniques of teaching and learning. So these methods, teachers can engage them to ensure that their lessons are delivered on time.
Every 21st century teacher should know.
So like we said earlier, apart from the discussion method of teaching, the research method, the project method, the inquiry method, the lecture method, questioning method of teaching, observation method, excursion method of teaching for those of us who are into subjects like geography, history, that you have to carry the children around for sightseeing. In fact, I think almost every subject, okay, you can move the children around to see things for themselves. Okay, now you have a problem-solving method. You have observation method of learning. You can bring the object to the class and you can take them out to observe. By so doing, you deliver your content. Then you have inductive method of learning. Question and answer method of learning. You're asking the children, they're answering you. So based on that form, you will know the knowledge they've had and the ones they've not had. Now, out of this normal method of learning, let us look at these methodologies that every 21st century teacher should know. So we can put these things down.
Cooperative learning, gamification, and classroom game design, problem-based learning, design thinking.
So these methods of learning and teaching, this method of teaching, their strategies, their techniques that you can use when you're delivering your content. Flipped classroom, project-based learning, cooperative learning, gamification. Just create your game in the class. Just look for any form of game. We'll demonstrate some of them here. Okay, create it in the class. It makes the class very engaging. Then design thinking. Design thinking. This one is more like a critical thinking. We just bring the question and then we want the children to work on it. Then thinking-based learning. Thinking-based learning. Then competency-based learning. They are all sounding vague, but we'll see some little clip like a video as pertaining to the explanation of all these things we're talking about. So what's a flipped classroom? Flipped classroom is like a virtual classroom. Flipped classroom, you know, when you're flipping through book, you do it like this, you flip, you flip, you flip, you flip. So, but when we talk about flipped classroom, the world, because of COVID, have embraced what they call virtual learning. Sit at home, you do video learning. Okay? The first months of COVID, schools didn't know what to do. Sorry. They didn't know what to do, so some decided to embrace ICT. Some had their children, some were already working with the internet. The children already have tablets. In some schools, one tablet like this. Okay, they were charging one, but they just removed it. It is a tablet now. Trace it up. They customize it, you know. You cannot take SIM card. It works only on Wi-Fi, so you cannot use it to make calls, all those kind of things. So you pay like 50,000 for one. Before you do school fees of, I think they are doing 70 now for 110. Okay, I had one man that was bringing a child to that school. 2 children is $1 million. Yeah. So you do school fees, you do uniform. Uniform is like 100 and something. School fees like 70. Books 100 and something. Before you do for 2 children and buy this tablet, you are doing $1 million. You know, everything is incorporated. You cannot start with them. They say bring for 5,000 naira for shoe. Bring for this. You just pay. You pay. You submit your bill. You submit it. Highest 4th week of resumption. If you don't bring your payment, they don't beg. If even the person you're begging, you know the owner of it, so they say, you know. So what I'm trying to say is that these schools, they were using it, but they weren't that proactive before COVID. So as COVID came, they started and they said parents who wanted virtual learning should key in. School fees was 50 then, they now reduced it to 25. They say if because you are at home, we're not taking care of your child in the school, so school fees is reduced. You get what I mean? There's some teachers that used to man some classes. If they were giving you 5,000 as a class teacher, that's what went on. But you're not in school, everybody was doing work online. So you see, what then happened was parents that wanted that virtual learning said they don't want their children to so they had to engage their children. They paid 25,000 and children were learning from home. School will give quizzes, teachers will put up videos online and children were learning. Okay, but it wasn't that easy because parents were complaining our data was running before we play one video, answer assignments, do this. But you will be surprised that I had a video of that school where a KG1 child was answering questions with a tablet. The question will just what they do, they don't do reading, they don't allow children to read. The teacher will voice the question in a read aloud app. So the thing will say, identify the objects on the screen. The child will hear it. But in the upper basic, you read and you answer. If it's the one you have to draw, they do ask. They use, just with your tablet, you'll be using their tools. You draw Nigeria, draw this. Color is they use color. So the child can use the system. But for that lower basic, what they do is, any question the teacher want to put in the portal, in the school portal, you voice it, but the child cannot read. It's identifying, you've taught them in the video, the child have watched the video and seen, the child saw the things that were there. So by the time you are displaying an object and the child is seeing it, you just say, identify the object. A ball, B, a shoe or a mat or whatever. So the child will click. You get it? So the question will go into the question bank and computer will mark if it's correct because the teacher have already told the computer the actual correct here is the right answer. So the scores are there. You cannot even tamper with it because the child, maybe sometimes you give only one attempt. Sometimes you just want them to be trying it, then you give several attempts depending. So that one is for online, they call it online learning, but normally it's virtual learning, like things you don't see in here, but you're doing it. So that's the flipped class. May have project-based learning. So we'll see them one by one as this video plays. Project-based learning, you give children projects. You can tell them to, for those doing physics, to control something that will maybe electronics to get in lights and show whatever it is that you are doing, sound system, wave, ray, whatever, just or refraction of lights. Mirror, you know them. Cooperative learning, you're bringing in group. Okay, you could decide to do it male and female thing in your class. So you just find a way of getting the children to cooperate in an activity. A group might start the drawing of a car, another group completes it and you give your rewards and that. Then you have gamification. This one, you can just do some game in your class. Let group A and B be this way, group C and D. Okay? Group A, you can ask them one question, whoever that gets it like that, or you can decide to whatever you want to do. Then you have problem-based learning. There's a problem that you're looking for a solution from the children. Design thinking, can come up with something and then they work on it. Thinking based learning, you're asking them questions but they have to think and give you an answer. Okay, so let's just play and listen, then we'll just be analyzing the things right.
All these forms of learning in the classroom will require those skills to be able to deliver in this 21st century. So classroom is a pedagogical approach.
Pedagogy is just a system, it's just teaching.
Okay, so
pedagogy means to teach, the art of teaching. When you hear pedagogical approach of teaching, it's just the art of teaching. Pedagogy is teaching. So when you go online and you see some they say pedagogical approach to learning this, just a method or a teaching way, just a language, a teaching profession. So when you say flipped classroom, what you have taught in class, you give them to go and finish up at home. By the time you are coming to class the next time, it will look strange. Work is easy for you. It's an approach in which traditional elements of the lesson taught by the teacher are reversed. The primary educational materials are studied by the student at home and then worked on in the classroom. So you giving the child to go and study, where you can say, read on page 50 or page 60. Some children don't do work. As they're giving it in class, they just go home, drop it. So my approach is, I do everything in class. Then whatever I want to give you to go and do at home, I know that by the time we still come in, maybe we can continue from there, because most of them don't do this work. Parents are so busy, they don't even have time for them. So if you tell them go and work at home, then you're coming back to say, okay, we have a class activity based on the work we gave you to go and do at home. By the time you are giving class work, you're giving them class work, it will be a page in their textbook and say, answer page so based on what you have gone to do at home. The ones that actually went through it, they will pass. The ones that did not flip through their learning process, they are going to remain dormant there. So, but before you give them work to go and do, just give them some little basics, like you want to go and talk on reproduction at home. Okay, reproduction is this, types of reproduction. Just highlight it and say, go and study more. Then when you come to class, pick the pages in the textbook where they have questions on. You could still decide to tell them, go to YouTube, type this, and this. You can show them the video in your class. See it, go home, go and check it. So I say my parents didn't want to give me phone because they feel I'll be using it. Like when I want to senior class, I use it to chat up my girlfriend, I use it to, and they decide not to give. Encourage them that we are in ICT age and there's need for them to know. There's need for them to know. Their mates are going fast. So you cannot, because you go and chat up the girlfriend or the boyfriend on Facebook or WhatsApp, and you refuse your child to do research. So tell the children, go to YouTube, give them the name of whatever you want them to go and research on. Let them work at home. Come to class, work will be easy for you. Go to page 70, we have studied the reproductive system. Hope you watch the video. Those that did, let me see your hand. And maybe based on that percentage, you'll be able to determine if 70% were able to do it, give your work. The lazy ones, give them their penalties too. So those that were able to flip through their learning, you are allowed. Let's just look at this video.
Classroom is a pedagogical approach in which the traditional elements of lessons are taught by the teacher, okay? So they are reversed. The primary aim is that the children go home and do the work. Sometimes we put them on online videos. Children will watch it to make your timing easier in school. Let's look at this clip of flipped classroom.
First, the teacher makes a video with the lesson content.
If the teacher makes a video and gives to the children, sharing it online for the children to go and read at home. So those penguins are like the students, the big teacher is there.
Students can rewind and rewatch a video as many times as they like.
They watch the video as many times they like at home.
Keeping up with the class is no longer an issue. Students can access the video at any time using mobile devices, giving them the ability to learn more than the technique. Instead of simply listening, students can spend class time applying knowledge in more practical ways. And teachers are free to spend their time working with students and giving them individual support and attention.
So now,
Flipped classroom model is already making a difference to students and teachers worldwide. So get involved.
so get involved with the flipped classroom. When the children are acquainted with what you want to tell them, the time you will use for your class, the 40 minutes is, go to page 40 of your textbook. Do you understand question number 1? Repeat that question. Tell them what they're supposed to do there. They will do it. Then as you're moving around, start checking those that are doing the work. Those that need support, you will have time to give to them, isn't it? Then those that didn't even understand the topic very well in class, and then they get home, they can always refer back to that flipped video or rather virtual video that you are giving them to learn. So flipped classroom is a new technique in what teaching. Everything should not be teacher-centered. You are the one doing everything all the time. You can take out your time, make the video, then put it on YouTube and tell them to go and search for this video. It could be through your name that you registered it, whatever, but let them have the work to do it. By the time you come to class, you know the period you will teach, give lesson notes, explain, 40 minutes are gone. And maybe you're having them twice in a week. The next period you come around, you were able to struggle the, what's it called? The questioning and answer section, but you were not able to give class activity, or you gave the good grade, depending. So it's very important that you give flipped learning so that the students will do some work at home. Then when you come to class, you manage the time that is in class, and the lessons can move forward, and everybody will be good. So project-based learning is based on projects or integrated tasks. Okay? What it does is that it helps the learner to get the knowledge of the curriculum control. So project-based learning is that you're giving the child a project. This, what is it called? This globe, this ball, this globe that talks about the earth. This for geography students, isn't it? You could, for example, maybe a kindergarten class, a primary class, or lower basic that is taking any content that has to do with the world map. If you are not able to provide this, you can tell them to cut out a cardboard shape, and then whatever continents they, you know, every continent have their, Africa has its diagram, Europe like that. So you could tell them to cut out cardboard, draw the 7 continents of the world. Okay, Antarctica, there is no life there. These penguins we just saw now, they can survive because it's very cold, okay? So you could tell them to do that kind of project work. By the time a child has done that thing, you can't tell the child to list 7 continents of the world and the child will forget it. That's when it's project-based learning. You have talked about the world, like the child has seen, I mean, you did it yourself, you can't forget. Or you could decide to put them in group and say, okay, this group draw 1 continent and tell us like 10 countries and their capitals in that, what is it called, in that continent. Or Africa that will have about 54 countries, they can list it and give you their capitals. By the time this group presented, you had, this group presented, you had, this group presented, you had, at least nothing is going on. You as a class teacher, your activity is reduced. The note you will not give won't be much. Won't be much. But mind you, parents want to see the notes bulky. So you cannot give sketchy things to say that we have done it in class. Where is the evidence that you have actually done that particular topic? So it's very important that you give your note to boards, engage them through projects. Engage them. If you don't know projects to do or give, try and check it online. Project and also topic. There are some sites you can visit. There's a site called study.com. They pay. The white man will say pay money so that you can access the content. So if you click on it, click on their videos or on their content, you will watch it to the extent they will stop. Like bring your money, and they are not easy to go by. Some apps that you use to create all these videos, they are very expensive. Most times before you could even pay for it, it's in high dollars, and some are very cheap, but most of them they are very expensive. That's why when you see schools who run this kind of thing, their school fees are very, very high. Okay, but the children are pros. And when you give them system, they handle the whole, they write their exams with, they answer their questions. Sometimes the teacher can even tell them, explain the reason why you feel Nigeria shouldn't be divided or something, or just one question. They will video themselves, there is a camera, and they will submit their answer. Then you as the teacher, you will see the child talking, and you will grade the child based on the reply the child has given online. You know what I mean? So all of them, even without their parents, they know how to do it. Just that the challenge some of them have is when they are at home, if parents are not around, nobody will give them data to do the work. So by the time they come to that their online class, you might be asking for the assignment and the child will just be staring and saying, I didn't do it. For these schools, what they do is they'll put in Wi-Fi in all the classrooms. So if you are in the class with your tablet, you can work. You can listen, you can watch videos, you can do everything, you can answer your question. Then during the exam, when it comes to exam time, you don't have, some Nigerian parents who want to spend money. You know the kind of school you're going to put your child, and then the child comes and wants to watch videos. They say, I don't have money for data. You will have money. Because by the time it's coming to end of term, exam will come. So they have what we call lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. They have assignment for all those lessons. If you don't complete all the assignment for those lessons, you cannot write the exam. System will lock you out. So you must go and answer questions on all of those topics. So by so doing, they ensure that each child sees to that topic. Because some person will say, leave video, don't do assignment, you must watch the video. The computer will tell you, the child must watch, answer assignment before you move to the next lesson. So you cannot just open your computer and say, I'm going to do lesson 9 first. If you don't do lesson 1, lesson 2 will not open for you. If you don't do lesson 2, lesson 3 will not open for you. If you don't do all the lessons, exam cannot open for you. And if you don't do exam, of course, all your money is gone. So you see everybody is running extra. So they will program the system in such a way that you must do lesson 1 before you enter lesson 2. So nobody jump. So we are saying that flipped learning is good. Those that are involved in it, though it's a bit expensive, but it can help you in good teaching techniques. So project-based learning, we'll talk about it. You engage the children with projects, and that is it. Then the next one is...
Give the children some projects to do. You can put them in groups, you can give them in groups.
Let's look at this project.
In such way, completing learning and then trying to make sure that the curriculum contents are achieved. Let's listen to this group on project-based learning.
Focusing students on a project, teachers put them on a path that deepens their knowledge and builds skills they'll need in the future. Here's what I mean. Mr. Simmons has always been a good science teacher, and his students do well on Friday's tests. Unfortunately, what they learned was gone by Saturday morning. That wasn't good enough for him.
This man is a science teacher, and he sees that each time he gives his children normal teaching, everybody else has well in class, they do good, and everybody feels good. He gives a test, they get an A. But the next day, they will come to class, you ask them, this one will forget, this one will forget. So we decided to engage them with project work. Maybe this graduation you're doing, you as a chemistry teacher, you can be in the lab and let the children do it. You said the theoretical part of it, come and do the class and let them see. They will never forget. They will never forget it. Or you're even teaching Africa and you say animals chew their cord. I think that's what they say. Oh yes, like they will bring out the grass and they start chewing it and taking it back again. Children might not even know what you're saying. If you have school farm, you can go and bring one goat and then you'll be looking at the goat tree, say this is the process that is going on. Or you could bring up a video and play it for them, let them see when animals are doing that, or what happens, how the process goes. If they see it, by the time they sight any animals that have 4 compartments or more, they will be at home, isn't it? So when we see these things, it's better. Let's continue and see.
Soon he learned about project-based learning and decided to give it a shot. Mr. Simmons got the idea for his first project on microorganisms when nearly half of his students were suddenly absent with the flu. He asked his students why they thought so many other classmates got sick at the same time. That lively discussion produced a lot of good questions and a list of things the kids wanted to know.
So he went further. He's a science teacher. He wanted the children to get engaged with project-based learning. He now said, why is it that children get sick? Why do people get diseased? He gave them as work, go and research on it. It's a project. So each group will come and they present and tell the class the reasons why people get sick. Why people get sick. So let's just look at the causes of diseases, prevention.
Mr. Simmons then announced their project was to help elementary school kids understand how can we not get sick.
How can we not get
After
sick?
dividing the class into teams, he got them started on the project. It was up to the students to ask questions, research, collaborate, give each other feedback, and figure out the best ways to make their points clear to children. One team tried to make an educational video on the connection between hand washing and avoiding the flu. Another chose to create posters to show how viruses spread.
So first team did something on hand washing. The first team that went to research on how to control diseases, or why we shouldn't allow disease to flow, or why students shouldn't get sick. So this first team came up with pictures, posters, charts, showing you on how you should wash your hands continuously so that you don't get disease or carry germs and infection. Then the other group came up with posters to show you how to cough into your hands, and then the ideas of carrying
final
germs.
word to an enthusiastic audience of parents and their children at a nearby elementary school.
So they brought the project and they invited their parents, and probably maybe in a school hall, and the children were asked to present their project. So group 1 came and they presented, group 2 came, they presented, group 3 came. So all those things, they sell the school in good light. That's project-based
Sitting in
learning.
the front
I use
row
it
was
as
our
a
good
technique
friend
to
and
teach
local
people.
rock star Claire, who saw a bit of herself in the students. It was clear that the project was a success for the students, the audience, and Mr. Simmons. His students practiced critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. The project wasn't about memorization, but learning in depth about viruses and how to prevent spreading disease, a lesson they will never forget.
So you see this project, the children were involved. How do we prevent diseases? This one said, drew a poster of someone who wants to coughing into the elbow, they're not carrying them, washing hands. So at the end of the day, children know these things they will not forget. Unlike when you just come to class and say, ways to prevent diseases, wash your hands, cough into your elbow, you just say it, everybody goes to their various homes. Then by the time they return the next day, you're asking, how do we prevent disease? So won't even remember what you said in the class. But by the time you get them involved, they are drawing, they are doing many things, they will not forget. Even if they forget the first one, they will not forget the second one. So project-based learning is a good method, it's a good technique in teaching.
At the end of the presentation, Claire introduced herself to the students and told them that they were rock stars and that the world needs more people who can think like them.
At the end of the day, he appreciated the children. He tried encouraging them. He was telling them that everything went well and he was good with it. So when children do this kind of work, because it's not easy most times, maybe they leave other schedules, they are running out, they are looking for cardboard sheets, they're trying to ask questions to get this project done, or the ones that will be involved with getting animals to do this project, like maybe you told them to go and get a bird, a toad, a lizard, or rat, and they run up and down, and after everything, you should commend their work. You should tell them thank you for making this thing work, because if they hadn't done it and come to present it, you too, you are lagging. You must still find a way to do that topic. So try and always commend your students or pupils when they have done something great. It spoils them, it encourages them to do more.
Cooperative learning.
So cooperative learning, like I said here, I said stronger together. I think the thing is not coming up very well, because of the column. But we say stronger together is a concept in which teachers use to bring students together and thus impact learning positively. So by the time you group these children together,
So
you're able to teach them.
in a simpler way, cooperative learning.
This is cooperative learning. You carry apple, you show them, they see it. You carry watermelon, you show them. They are wearing it. or girl. So this is cooperative learning. Everybody is answering. No child will forget that one. Unlike come to the board and draw apple. They are seeing it in their hand. By the time their mother is dicing or doing whatever, they say apple. Or you do color, you show them color. As the child sees purple, the child will be calling it green, be calling it black, because it's been done in black. But if you say brown color, probably you just brought one biscuit and you show them. But by the time they are involved in it, you say, choose green color and color, take this, they are involved, cooperative learning. The children will not forget it. All these are, but I think you're seeing the pictures better from this place, okay? So you get the children involved. You will see a child, okay, we're talking about gamification now. It's another method of learning.
In this order, you can give points for meeting academic objectives, give points for meeting.
So we have seen cooperative learning. Bring them together. You could decide to rearrange the classroom. The seating arrangement could be rearranged because of that particular learning process. So get the children involved. Like I said, cooperative learning can come in any form. It must not, there's no special style to it. Just get the children together and do what you want to do. Those that are in the home economics, and you know what it is. Some can do the dicing of the food. Some can do the mixing of the dough. Some you can help them fry. They are in lower kindergarten, but if they are in the upper section, those that do home economics, textile, and tell some make also clothing. You can tell some do also cooking, desserts like that. So you get the children involved. Gamification is involving games in the classroom. I keep calling the English teachers, maybe because they are more like the mother of all subjects. If a child can read and write, the other things are extras, you know. So, as an English teacher, you can bring flashcards. You know what flashcards are? For example, you could say, draw an apple, okay? You can draw an apple on a cardboard, and at the back, you know, the spelling of apple is there. Or you can just show it to the children and say, what is this? You say apple. Then you could decide to just group them, separate them into different groups, and give them any kind of game you want, in as much as it's concerned and connected with the topic that you're teaching. For those that are teaching other subjects, you could show the class a flashcard, and what is written on it is central nervous system. Then you are saying they should tell you the meaning. So any child that knows the meaning of central nervous system can stand up and give the answer. Then the class will applaud. Or you could still decide and give them project work to do, even in this gamification. Whoever that is able, whatever group is able to score more, yeah, you can reward them. You could write on the board group A, group B, boys and girls, although all those ones are a bit added, just get it involved. Let's look at some forms of game you could get the child involved in the classroom. It might not just be the normal answer question, girls this way, boys this way. Create something that is very interesting. Sometimes it could be tasking, but at the end of the day, it will be worth it. So we say giving points for meeting academic objectives. So those that were able to meet up, give them some points. We say 5 points for the right answer, 3 points for those that are the middle, then maybe 0 for those that couldn't get it, or bonus, whatever you want to do. Then giving points for meeting procedural and academic and non-academic objectives, creating competition within the classroom, creating a range of unique rewards. If you have some beautiful pencils of 15 naira, you could give to you know, the best student that is always giving answers to all the questions you're giving in class. It's a form of rewarding them for being part of the game. Then create problems or challenges with more than one way to solve. In this way,
tutorial and non-academic objectives. So you don't award your points. Those are 10 classroom games.
let's
They
look at
complete
this.
them in the course of your teaching.
Motivate students by incorporating fun classroom games into your lesson. Here are the top 10 classroom games that will provide fun ways to engage your students in academic learning. Number 1, Curate. Select a student to stand at the front of the room and act out a word from your list. No speaking allowed. The rest of the class must then guess what the student is attempting to portray. Other students can shout out their guesses or put their hands up depending on your teaching preference. Whoever guesses correctly.
For the answer, let the other group be looking for the answer. At the end of the day, everyone is happy learning. So let's go on and see other kinds of games. We'll see puzzle.
One student from each group is chosen to start, and they must draw the subject-related concept you state within a given time, 30 seconds to 2 minutes. The rest of the group must then guess what she is drawing. The first group to correctly guess the word wins. The game repeats until every student has had a turn or there are no more words on your list. Number 4, categories. Put up a simple table on the whiteboard.
So this one, we could just call them to draw a diagram, and when each child draws, you can ask the class what was drawn, or you can ask the group what was drawn. So any group that guesses, you find, you award the amount. So this one too is another one. We just
With a different
hurry up so
category
that
in each
we
column. For example, rivers, fruits, animals, or cities. You may alter the categories for difficulty according to your class's level. Randomly select the letter of the alphabet. Now, within a time limit, groups or pairs of students must identify one example per category. The first group to correctly do so wins. Number 5.
So that means you put rivers, let me go back. Just like a tabular form. So each child or each group will come and identify an example of animal, rivers, whatever it is. Rivers, fruits, animals, and cities. So under rivers you list 4, under fruits you list 4, under animals you list 4. And this one might look like elementary level, but those that are in senior category, it could be that you're teaching them types of sugar, saccharide, disaccharide. So just tell them what to do. But it might be on the board. If it's on the board, it's engaging. Group A, come and do yours. Group B, so whatever group that is able to list 4, 4, 4, the ones that within a second, within some period, if you tell them 30 seconds, so they start, they write. And you won't repeat what somebody else has written, depending on your role for the game. So this one is another kind of game. You will get
One
your
example per
children
category. The first group to correctly do so wins.
Okay.
Number 5, whiteboard bullseye. Split the class into 2 teams. Draw a target on the whiteboard, labeling each circular ring with a different point value. Put students individually on anything you want. If they answer correctly, they get to throw the ball at the target for points. The winning team gets a prize, a bonus point on the test, a privilege, etc. Number 6, the crazy ball game.
Okay, that one, as they go with their winnings, they identify their points on that whiteboard. So if it is 5, the children will go and pin 5 there, so you award it to that group. If it is 4, depending on what they have scored for that one. And this one is another kind of game.
Based on a topic that you taught recently to the class. Divide the class into 2 teams, and choose a student from one of the teams to answer the first question. Don't allow the teams to discuss answers among themselves, as the sole objective is to test each student's understanding of the topic. If the chosen student answers correctly, she gets to throw a ball into one of 3 paper cups, each marked with 5, 10, or 15 points, and get points for her team. Keep the points on a board so that the teams can follow the progress. Continue to play the game between the teams until you've asked all the questions. The team with the maximum number of points wins. Prizes can be a homework task, free time, and so on. Number 7, headbands are also known as Pinoy Peño. Here's a fun spin on the classic game of headbands.
In this one, headbands, you can just bring cardboard and or even a rope and tie up. You could draw flower or write flower as a word and put it on a child's head, and this group will just stand and you tell the group members will be telling the person wearing the flower band over there and say the thing comes from a tree, it comes through germination, it goes, they'll be coming clues to a word that she can say flower. If she mentions flower, the group will win, but that's what they put on her head. So her group members will be trying to give her clues to the word that is written on her forehead or his forehead, and the case will be. So So if the child is able, the one wearing that band, is able to get that what they put on her head is flour, then that group has won. So it's a form of religion. Problem-based learning. So problem-based learning is a learning process composed of many different stages. You're asking questions and you're applying knowledge that in turn leads to more questions in a growing complexity circle. Let's just listen to this clip so that we understand what we're saying. Problem-based learning. It's a technique in teaching. Problem-based learning.
The growing complexity circle. In other words, it helps you to do analytical thinking. Let's listen to this clip to gain more.
In the 1980s, somebody decided that haircuts were way too messy. So they combined the hair trimmer and the vacuum cleaner, and we ended up with a floaty. And I remember begging my parents for a floaty, and they said no, because they thought I would use it on the dock, and they were probably right. But the idea there is pretty clear, that you can solve problems in unique ways. And that's the core idea of
So we say that for problem-based learning, you're creating
Number one,
from the unknown you've got it, you now go to more complex one. For example, you tell a child 7 plus 3 says 10,
actively consume content.
minus 2 plus 3 will give 1.
One size fits all.
Then you now say minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, just like that. You're starting from the simple one, you're advancing, you're testing and trying to know if the test. So this is a technique in teaching. So from the known, you're trying to check if the child can, get more from what is being taught.
But the latter is now a maze, and our students need to know how to navigate these complexities of a global society. In other words, students need to be empowered to solve real-world problems. And that's why we have problem-based learning. Number two, the history of problem-based learning. Problem-based learning began at Case Western University in the 1950s, like there was one and the goal was to provide real-world problems for medical students to solve. It soon spread to other medical schools and eventually made its way into business, law, engineering, and education. And by the 1960s, you can find elements of problem-based learning within the new social studies framework of sociologist Cox, as well as Herbert Newman's group investigation model. Problem-based learning fits well within the social family of education because of the emphasis on.
So to save it, what we're trying to say is problem-based learning, it's more on real life. Real life. You bring the thing to the children, you see how they can solve theory. So that when they see these activities at home, they will be able to
It's important that when we teach with the students effectively, delivery is very important. Now, what teaching strategies are you using? Listen to this clip and let's go.
Our teaching strategy is the method we use to convey information to your students.
So the strategy you use in conveying information to your children is known as your teaching method. The method, whether you're using descriptive, inquiry, question-based, flipped classroom, whatever method you use in delivering your lesson is your teaching method. That's your teaching method. That's the method you want to use in ensuring that these children understand the content you're giving at that time. So whatever you could be game, you could use game to pass the knowledge. You could use flipped classroom. You could use inquiry method. You could use project-based to get these children involved in your learning process. And when you adopt this method, sometimes it saves time. And other times, it could take a lot of your time trying to put these groups together. You need to be fast because you have 40 minutes to work. So if you are not proactive and you are not together and orderly in yourself, you might be arranging class. 40 minutes is over. You didn't do anything. So you should be conscious of your time. Whatever teaching method, whatever teaching technique you're using, it could be virtual learning, go and study at home and come back, then we'll do our platform. Whatever method, always watch your time. Because if you don't do your timing, if you don't organize yourself, then at the end of the day, you will see that you've achieved nothing. So we are continuing, you will just see the explanation, teaching methods, teaching techniques. You could still write, it's not so much.
It's important to invest in teaching strategies in the class. Here are some of the top ideas for you to use. Number 1,
Modeling.
after telling students what to do, it's important to show them just how.
You are teaching multiplication. Teaching method, you say modeling. Modeling. The children are seated, this is a classroom now. You should do the work. Tell them, like you say, don't be doing all the analysis. You have given a model on the board. Example, that what we call example. By the time you are giving that model, give them what to do. Your own is just to be passing around and be ensuring that it's a teaching technique. It's a teaching technique. Put the model on the board. It's not like someone that wants to teach you how to bake cake. They will come to your they will do the demonstration. You mix this, you do this, you put it in the oven. They see you, bake your cake with your ingredients. So you model, you put the teaching strategy, you put your model on the board, and you allow the children, give them work to do. Your own is just to go around and see what they are doing. So that is for more learning. It's a strategy of teaching. So tell them how to do it. Sometimes we assume, it's not 7 plus 7. You can count whatever you want to use. Okay? Then another method is feedback. Feedback will come in form of assessment. You will give them some homework that you go and do at home. By the time they return the homework, from your grading system, from the assessment, you will know those who actually got that concept. If it is mathematics, you know those who understood the fraction you're teaching. If it's English, you will know those who comprehend and they understood what you taught them in class. Or you can even give classwork. From that feedback, you are marking over 100 and children are scoring 39 over 100, 40. Nobody is even getting 70. Don't you be worried. You will revisit that topic. You should not fly to YouTube. Go and do that again. But for your feedback, as a teaching method, you have not gotten what you're supposed to do. So you go back and after giving them model as a teaching method, do feedback is a teaching method. It helps you to know what you're doing. The next one is
also, that we beneficial if they look into scientists, experiments for finding. Number 4, student-led learning. When students get creative, students learn by doing. To create experiment tests for them to see the concept in action. Let it run.
everybody know that experiment is experiment, not like you're doing practicals, okay? You've told them story on putting up and courage. You told them story on one thing. You can tell the school to provide the cooking materials and ingredients for porridge. And then you prepare it with the children. You will see how porridge looks. So by that, you have done experimental learning. So in this way, they've seen it. They cannot forget it. Even anytime, or at any time when they hear such story and they hear the word porridge, they know how it looks like. And anytime they cite the food, so it might not be only in food, in other aspects. So do experiments with these children. And at the end of the day, they will not forget that learning process. So it's a teaching technique. Student-led classroom. You will just sit down and tell them to come and teach that particular topic. And call up for one of the students and tell them to come and present to the class. Maybe you've taught on one topic now. Let the child come and talk on now. You discuss it with them. Now you are seated at the back of the classroom. And then you call up on one of them and say, please come and tell us everything you know about now. As the child is trying to recount, other children will pay attention. It's not you now, it is their classmates. So it's a technique in teaching. Student-led classroom. Involve them. You've taught that topic because you cannot just from nowhere bring a volumetric analysis, just call one big name, related this, velocity. Teach that topic.